and also still meeting with a bunch of players as they exit out of here. And just seems like it's a nonstop day here. But anyways, relative to signing day, we've signed 19 players so far. And so far we've got 6 from the state of Colorado, 3 from Florida, 3 from Texas, 2 from California, 2 from Nevada, 1 from Arizona, 1 from Massachusetts, and 1 from New Mexico. Offensive players, we've signed 10. Defensive players, 9. Pretty evenly matched. 3 quarterbacks, 2 offensive line, 2 wide receiver, 2 tight end, 1 running back, 4 D-line, 1 linebacker, 4 DBs. Other notes, Jack Howell is a legacy. His dad, John Howell, was a hell of a player here. I know you guys are all familiar with him, and we're just super, super excited to have Jack. He's going to be a great player. We're saving 5 or 6 spots that, either for the second sign-in period / possible grad transfers, a couple of deals like that. We're expecting at least 10 Colorado kids via walk-on program. We have 5 right now early enrollees: Luke McAllister, Chance Harris, Jack Howell, Lathan Adams, Brandon Coleman. 6 did not have a fall semester. They did not play football, rather. George Mickey Hahn, Evan Olace, Garrick Robertson, Demir Abdullah, Chance Harris, and Alex Bro. So, those are guys that, just, didn't get the chance to play due to COVID. So it's kind of an interesting year. But I thought our staff did a really great job. Our recruiting staff, our coaching staff, support people did a great job. We attacked this recruiting. When we broke out of here, we were working hard at it all winter, and even during spring ball, we had a couple of Saturday afternoon recruiting deals, which we were really excited about, and we hope we'd continue. But we broke out of here, and we just really were super organized, and we attacked recruiting every day and really built a great relationship. And I thought did a great job of evaluating the prospects, got an early bite into our players, and then we're able to really lock into them. And that's paid dividends for us. And so we feel good about our class, and feel like we've met our needs, a lot of our needs. We've got some outstanding players, high character, have a passion for the game. I talk about character, passion for the game, and toughness. And I think we have a class that'll match that. So very excited about it, as to lock this portion of our class in and then get ready to finish that out. I think we're in great shape. So with that, I'm happy to answer any of your questions.
Hey, Coach, you've talked a lot about wanting to recruit the state of Colorado, but that starts in your backyard, does it not, with 3 signees the last 2 years just from Fort Collins?
Yeah, I mean, our commitment to the state of Colorado is real. And I just think that we have diamonds in the state. And I just think in college football and where it's headed, I think it's so critically important that you have guys that are vested into your university and into the state and into the area. It's not just a place just to go play football. So we certainly have right in our back door, even more than just the state of Colorado, we have certainly been present and will continue to be. And that's not to say we won't pick up another 1 or 2 kids from the state of Colorado in the signing class. That very easily can happen.
The other thing that stands out to me about this class is traditionally most programs add 1 quarterback. You're adding 3. Is that just filling up some blanks from, the past?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think any program, if you're going to build a winning program, you've got to find a guy that, is the future at that position. And I've learned in my career that take as many quarterbacks as you can and hope that you get lucky and you find that one that can be that guy that can be elite. And how much success you have and how much you win is going to correlate heavily to that. So I just think you take quarterbacks and hope you evaluate it right. And even if you did, you're lucky if you find that one guy.
Coach, Kelly Lyle with Fort Collins, Colorado, and obviously there was another area you really loaded up was the D-line. That was certainly an area of strength this year. Is that just a matter of that strength this year came from so many guys that are seniors or close to being seniors, maybe haven't settled on their futures yet?
Well, I think you always want to keep recruiting offensive linemen and defensive linemen. That's the hardest position to develop. it's hard to plug and play those guys. So like you know, while you're in your process of looking for some older guys sometimes to plug in, you've got to keep recruiting young developmental guys up front, both sides of the ball. Yes, we're top heavy in the D line with older guys. And so it also is a challenge is when you hate to have a given year where all of a sudden, you know, you lose 4 and you got to replace 4. Like I've had that happen on the offensive line. That's really hard to do. So roster management and just trying to not just look at this year, next year, but the year after, and just make sure you're trying to build and always understand that it's hard to, if you have a chance to sign a good defensive lineman, you shouldn't pass that by because they're really hard to get.
Also along
many
those
of these
lines.
players-
Go ahead, Justin. I'm sorry.
Okay. Many of these players committed way back in the spring. You didn't have very many players that, you know, flipped their commitments elsewhere. What does that speak to the relationship that you and your coaches have been able to establish with a lot of these guys, despite pretty weird circumstances?
Yeah, I thought we developed a really good, strong bond through those months of March, April, and May, obviously, and just continued on that. And we were confident in our evaluations. I mean, you know, it's hard right now. You don't have camp. You're not out in the road evaluating basketball practice and those kinds of things. The margin for error is certainly greater. And, you know, I can't even imagine what it's going to be like right now moving forward. I mean, I'm not sure what's going to happen in the next 3-4 months. And we've got to start thinking about that, right? But I thought we did a good job in evaluation. Got as many guys on campus as we possibly could. And we're going to have to live with that. And a lot of people throughout the country are. But on a really good year, you'd like to say I always believe you try to have a guy on campus at least 4 times before you're committed to them through the winter, the spring, the summer camps, official visit. I just think that's really important. But this is what it's going to be for everybody right now. So you have to be confident in your film evaluation and then have enough phone conversations and Zoom conversations and all the different things we did along the way to build those relationships and really assess how strong the relationship and the marriage really is.
Steve, Kelly Lyle with the Fort Collins, Colorado. And again, how much did you weigh the pros and cons of signing a bunch of guys as you are early versus maybe seeing who seeps through and who still might be left for that later period? I know every coach has kind of their own philosophy on that. What's kind of your take on that?
I'm a builder. And so I really believe that you have to go out, do a lot of front end work and be confident in our evaluation because it's a real simple concept to me. You know, you a lot of coaches to me make the mistake and you have to understand every place is different where you're at, but I'm going to use an analogy. I'm not rating players this way. I'm just saying as an analogy. You think you're going to go get, you know, the ones, so to speak, and then you lose all those ones that you thought were your ones, and then you miss the 2s and you end up with the 3s. That's how I think your program falls apart. You start taking guys in the end haphazardly, maybe highly rated guys that really aren't very good, but you get caught up in that crap. So I'm a much bigger believer. Now, this year is a compromised year. We didn't have camp. But I go out, do our own evaluations. I watch all the tape, go to camp, evaluate the camp, and be strong and confident that you're recruiting the right guys that'll help you win and not get caught chasing. Coaches a lot of times chase, like, they always think they're finding a secret or something. You know, to me, there's no secrets in recruiting. It's just evaluation and having principles that you believe in the recruiting process. And I just don't believe in recruiting haphazardly all over the place. Like, well, we have some cross-section from a pretty wide area here, but every year there needs to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 kids from Colorado, in my opinion. And so that over the course of 4 years, you're going to have 35 kids, scholarship kids minimally in your program, minimally from the state. And I think it gives you consistency and you're not just spot recruiting all over the place. Like, you recruit these kids from Colorado. They're so proud to be from Colorado. They understand the history of Colorado State University and they have a passion for that. Some of the other kids, where do they come? And, you go way, way far away because you're the best offer they had. And there was no real connection. And I just think that can really backfire on you. So is there some of that that's going to take place? Yeah, of course there is. You got to fill your recruiting class out. You're not going to just do it here, but you can't get crazy all over the place. And you got to have we're definitely locked into this state. And then I would say California and Texas are two areas we want to be strong in. A little bit of Arizona. I have some Northeast background, so there's always going to be probably a situation that'll come up for me through my years of being in that whole area that will pop, one way or the other. So there's always going to be a little segment of that in there. And then because I recruited so long in Florida, I think you can go down and potentially, get a guy or two in a very talent-rich state. I mean, two of the most talent-rich states are Texas and Florida. So it's reasonable to think you'd get a couple kids from Florida, but and we've had it in the past. And I think you put it all together and you put together something good.
Is that emphasis on guys that are in state and surrounding states even more important now that transferring has become so much more prevalent, so much easier? I mean, the rules keep getting rewritten, and if you get a guy that's a wrong fit, there's very little to keep them there.
Yeah, I think there's twofold thing. They passed this one-time transfer rule, and what's going to happen is what's happening right now throughout the country, right? A lot of these, let's call them the upper tier of the Power Fives, have whole recruiting departments now that have become personnel departments. And they try to spot the top kids in every conference throughout the country, and then they try to recruit your kids. And it's like, how do you hold a guy anymore? Well, you got a better chance to hold a guy that's from Colorado or Colorado State. I mean, you got a guy from wherever. I mean, whatever state you want to talk about. And then all of a sudden that in-state top Power 5 school tries to take him from you. They take him pretty easily, probably. And so you got to have some glue and some investment. And I think that's your best shot. Furthermore, like you want to, holding that boot has got to have real meaning to you, and I promise you, to those Colorado kids, they've kind of grown up hearing about the boot, and they know all about Wyoming, Colorado State game. So that stuff matters. And for all the reasons you said, yes. And then certain schools, I just think that probably all schools, but I just think that you've got to have that, that the parents link up and they're at the games and you just get that state pride. And I don't know. I love that part about college football. Everything's easier to manage. That's all I can tell you. And, but I think you're more, you're going to be more developmental. And so you got to take your percentage of young guys and you got to develop your own guys. And I love that, but that's time intensive. That's not quick fix. So that's all part of it.
I know, obviously, leaving some spots open for the late period. Could some of that go to guys that are on the roster that want to come back? Is that part of kind of the number counting process?
Yeah, I think it's all part of it. I mean, there's a process to everything. It's not one set deal, but sometimes, you feel like you have voids on your team that you can't solve from within your team. So then you're going to go out and try to use the best avenue to bring some players in to solve some needs. Now, in the old days, guys go hit the JUCO market. A lot of people still do that. But now you got that grad transfer market. And if you know what you're doing and you have a previous relationship, I think that's a pretty safe way to go. Now you hit the grad transfer market and you don't know that young man, then, you're fishing a little bit and you can get yourself in trouble with that too. I think, the new era of transfer if they pass these rules, that's going to become a problem. So, I guess it can become an avenue and a problem. So all those things are available. So that's why I think right now, between the second signing period, between grad transfers, between the possibility of other things happening, and this process will go on all the way through May, I think it's prudent to leave some spots on your roster for your initials. And that's what I'm going to do.
You talk about leaving those spots, Steve, and you've got 19 guys you're signing. You haven't yet gotten answers for who's coming back, who isn't. Are you pretty confident you can fund 19 scholarships, 25 scholarships when needed?
Well, I had made commitment to these young men prior to the COVID, to the whole analysis of, expanding your roster, et cetera. So I certainly wasn't going to walk back my commitments. That's not right. And relative to guys having extra years, there's criteria everywhere, ever since I've been a head coach, or assistant coach for that matter, in terms of bringing fifth-year guys back or guys back for an extra year. It's the university's obligation to make sure that you see them through their graduation and they get their degree everywhere I've ever been. And then the ability to come back post your degree. That was something that was decided upon based on standing, academic standing, a clear defined role moving forward on the team, starter, etc. So that was never the same for everybody, so to speak. That was after you fulfilled the commitment of receiving your degree. Now you add the factor in that we've made commitments that we're not going to walk back on. And so when you put all the numbers together and you go over a certain number, then those become budgetary conversations with the university. And those are real conversations. Some places will say, well, can carry 85, but we've got 12 over, we're fine. 13 over, 14 over. I'm guessing some are going to be fine with all the above. Some are not going to go 1 inch over the 85. So, that's all a part of these conversations, but I'm committed to these young men and I'm not walking away from them. And those decisions were based off of knowing who was going to be graduating, right? Simple conversation. It was not hard. It's easy math. And then, so we're kind of still in that place. So our obligation to our older guys is to see that they get their degree. And then after that point, you based on who you can invite back beyond that. It's got to all work budgetarily. It's got to work in terms of role on the team. You certainly don't want to be in a situation where you're inviting people back and they're not starters. And so you're having somebody back, and for what reason? To be a backup? That's not where that's at. So these are all things that have to happen. I've spent a lot of time talking to a lot of people and guys on our team and trying to get a feel for what, and then there are those guys that have their own views on what they want to do. So, I'm processing all of that, gathering information. It'll all work out.
Coach, I know, obviously, you don't have the kids in on the practice field. It's been an unusual recruiting year. Some of the kids haven't even played, but from tape you've seen and knowing where you'll have some needs to fill, is there anyone in particular in this signing class that you think would be coming in and contributing right away?
Well, it's always hard to project that, right? I've been doing this so long that sometimes you got a guy, just like, oh yeah, that guy's he's going to be able to play, and then he's the last guy that can play. So, but for example, you take a look at a guy like Jack Howell. Jack is, I just really love his tape. He did play this year, and he played in a different state, but this is a guy that's highly competitive and a really good football player. And it meant so much to him. He left the state to go to another state to play, wanted to play. His dad was a great player. Every evidence to me would suggest that he'd probably be, and he's early enrolling. So, you put all that together and you say to yourself, I bet that guy's got a great chance of making an impact for us early, just for an example, And then there's other guys. We've got other guys on this list that, are really good football players that I think can make impacts pretty quickly. But we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of factors that go into that, that's what's exciting. It's fun, but we've got 5 early enrollees, right? Luke McAllister, Chance Harris, Jack Howell, Lathan Adams, and Brandon Coleman. These are all guys that will be here in the wintertime. That's the best. Get here early, get a chance to train and learn and be in the meeting rooms and all that kind of stuff. So that certainly gives you a leg up, no doubt.
Hey, Steve, when you think about the identity that you want to establish on offense with this program, what are the most important attributes of your starting quarterback, whether it's character traits or playing style? And also, if you could just sort of comment on the strengths of the 3 quarterbacks in this class.
Well, I think you're always looking for a quarterback that has it, right? It comes in a lot of different sizes, a lot of different styles, throwers, runners, combination. I never worry about that. you're trying to find a guy that has it, a guy that has those characters, a guy that can he's a winner. He's usually brought his team to a state championship. They've won a state championship. They're just those highly competitive winners. They find a way to win. And it's those, those attributes. I've watched guys on, I can watch a game sometimes and feel the energy of a team, whether it be in our conference or just on TV of another conference. And you watch that quarterback and you say, wow, look at this guy, man. Look at his eyes. Look at him on the sideline in between series. And you can feel it. The problem people have in quarterbacks is they think like, oh, he throws a really good ball. That and a dime will get you a cup of coffee. I mean, it's nice to throw a really good ball, but what does that mean? I've been around quarterbacks. They're great in 7-on-7, but they can't win. They can't lead. Do they win? It's about winning. And winning comes with all styles, drop back guys, dual threat guys. But you guys see them, you just watch them. You can watch them play. You can watch them on TV and you can pick them right out. They might be 5'10", they might be 6'2", they might be 6'6", but sometimes I laugh, it's like, I've been around a lot of quarterback coaches in my career, right? Work for me as a head coach, or I was around as an assistant coach and talk about like, oh, he can spin it. And, oh, he's got this release. And I just always like to say, okay, can he win? Can he win? I used to tell this about Tebow. Tebow would stare a bear down and deliver the ball on 3rd and medium. Say, well, there's throwing motion and all this and all that. Yeah, okay. Well, let me tell you something. We play a pickup game. I'm picking him. Okay. That's all I can tell you. I don't care about his throwing motion. I don't care about that bull crap. What I know is the guy's a flat winner. Okay. That's what I know. And not only that, he's the all-time leading passer at that time in the history of the state of Florida. I'd say that's saying something. But my point to you is the guy would stare a bear down. I promise you. I've never been around a guy like him before. It's like I can remember playing in Tennessee one year. It's 4th and 1, game's on the line. He's coming to the sideline screaming, give me the ball. I'm going to run it's like, whoa, Tim, settle down a little bit, but what do we do? All right, cue power, let him run the ball. Never got stopped one time. So my point to you is, you asked me about quarterbacks. You're trying to find a guy, to me, that's got it. A Jim Rat kind of guy that loves it. And he's just a freaking competitor. And he can put the team on his back, and his mentality and his attitude is relentless. And he lifts everybody up, including the coaches on the football field. You find one of those guys, you're going to win a lot of football games. That's the way it is. So we're hoping that, you said, tell me about some of your guys here. Well, let's talk about them here for a minute. I think Chance Harris, I really love Chance Harris. Chance is a really competitive guy. He's a winner. He carries himself unbelievably on the field. He carries himself unbelievably on the phone, or when you talk to him on Zooms and you get to know the kid and you do all your research, and just people talk about him as just one of those special guys. People use the word special guy. You look at Luke McAllister. I just think Luke McAllister wins. He wins. He's got a great attitude. He's a winner. And teammates really play for him. He's always upbeat and positive when you talk to him. He's fun to be on the phone with. He's a winner, Evan Olace, this guy, he's another one of those guys. Like, hey, Evan, what are you up to, man? He goes, I got a bunch of guys around the field right now, coach. We're having a ball, man. We're throwing a ball around. We're competing, blah, blah, blah. I'm out training. And they're just like energy givers. Well, that's a great starting point. Now, could I wish I could have seen some of these guys in person? Yeah, I've met. The beautiful thing about Luke is I had a chance to meet Luke and be around Luke. But, do you wish you could watch them like play hoop? I love to watch guys play basketball. I love when they play basketball and you can watch them compete. You can tell a lot. But these are guys that I just really like who they are. I like their attitude. And yes, their film's good and they can throw it. All these guys can spin it. That's good. That wasn't my first thing, but I'm glad they can. Because we want to have a really balanced offense. We want to be able to be explosive down the field. We want to stretch the field vertically and horizontally. And we've got to be able to run it. So you got to have all the components. And these guys, I think, give us that opportunity along with the players that we have coming back. So, trying to build it that way. And maybe along the way, all of them are special. Maybe one or two of them are special. Here's what I realize. If you get lucky, and that would be real lucky, and they're all special, well, you probably won't hang on to all of them, right? It's only one ball. And so you see that across the country too. You just hope that, you get the right ones.
Steve, you talked earlier about quarterbacks and how you've got to find that one guy that you can build your program on. Is that really goal number one in recruiting for you at this point, is to go find that guy that you can hang your hat on and say, this is who we are, this is our leader, this is where we're going?
Yes. Yes. You're in a foot race, in my opinion. I tell all the guys over the years call me about being first-time head coach. Hey, coach, what advice do you have for me? Go get the right quarterback. And you better be right. And you're in a foot race. You don't get that right over the course of a couple of years, you're probably not going to be the head coach there very long. Now the new deal is you can pick up a grad transfer. Okay, so that can be another way to get that done, for sure. For sure. But by hook or by crook, right? You got to find that guy. You're in a foot race to find that guy. And if you can have a couple of guys, that's really good for you, because sometimes, the injuries will get you. I've had that happen to me a couple of years where I've lost my starting quarterback, and, a 6 or 7 win year, that could have been an 8-9 win year, and that can get you too. So you like to have a little depth, but the problem with the depth is if your backup is really that good, they're usually not going to want to be a backup, so you can't hang on to them.
Hey, Steve, this doesn't really have to do with recruiting, but do you anticipate having the same staff all return going into next season?
Yeah, I don't have any information otherwise, and I certainly haven't. I haven't even sat down with our staff yet and visited with them. That stuff. That's the business. It's part of the business. Guys get opportunities and they leave, and I'm sure that'll happen. It's just part of the business, and just the way it goes. How much opportunity, how much turnover usually has a direct impact on that throughout the country. It doesn't appear, although there's more turnover than I thought there was going to be, but I don't think it's huge. So who knows? But law of averages say that someone will get an opportunity, and if it's a really good opportunity, I wish them well and go get the next guy. That's the way it is, especially it's going to be more so in the group of 5 than it's going to be in the Power 5 sometimes, just from the sheer fact that, you can't pay them, some of the money that's out there, especially on the upper half of the Power 5. It's significant dollars.
Hey,
And then
Steve,
just kind of keeping it on your staff here. Is there anybody on your staff that you would like to highlight individually, just as guys that really stood out to you in this recruiting cycle, guys that really made a difference?
I think they all did. I think everybody, we recruit as a team. We team recruit. We don't just, there's no gurus out there in recruiting, just like there's no gurus in coaching, it's a team effort. Head coach, coordinator, assistant coach, recruiting coach, we're all on the phones. I thought everybody worked really hard. I thought our recruiting people, Jess and Devin did a fabulous job. Worked really hard, really organized. And I thought the coaches worked hard at it. And I just think, we did a lot of work. Our staff did, honestly, in the month of March, when we got sidelined in March. So mid-March, we had done work before that, but I'm saying once we did a lot of detailed work from that point on in terms of film evaluation, phone call evaluation, Zoom call evaluations. I thought it was a great team effort. That's the way I like it too, I don't think nowadays you want to have like this, this is one guy or something like that. I think that's all BS anyways, but you want a young man engaged with your whole staff. First of all, when you do have turnover, all of a sudden you got one guy handling all the thing himself. He leaves and you're kind of out of luck, and so I like staff relationships. I think it's better that way.
Hey, Steve, do you have a timeline for yourself on when you'd like to sit down and do your postseason interviews with your players and have an understanding of who may be coming back, who may be moving on, helping certain seniors with their evaluations for the upcoming draft?
Yeah, I've been doing that for 3 days. I've been nonstop meeting with players. So I'm in that process, and I've been in it nonstop for 3 days. And, and in different various ways that will continue. So our staff, our coaches have met, every position coach has met with every one of his players. Coordinators have met with a large number of players, and I've met with a large number of players. So we have attacked this thing pretty hard. And I'm just a big believer of getting around your guys and, you know, having a frank conversation of your expectations of what, you know, how did their year go? Were they happy? What's their goals? What's your goals? Or just clean exchange, where you stand. Some guys, hey, what's your mindset? What are you thinking? You know, all of the above. So yes, we have not only started it, we're pretty much at the end of it.
I just didn't know if you had a timeline for when you wanted decisions made for you and your staff in terms of moving forward and having pieces in place.
I think we have a lot of information right now, and I think that it's fluid. You know, my experience is that while we attack this and got a lot of information and have a lot of knowns right now, over the course of the next 4 weeks, like every year I ever remember, there'll be some surprises. There'll be some changes. Things will happen over the next 4 weeks. So we did all the front work, got a lot of information. Do we have it all? Probably not. You know, probably not. But I don't think I'm going to get surprised by a whole lot. There's usually one surprise here or there, but I mean, I wouldn't say there'll be a lot of them. I think I have most of the information.
Steve,
All right,
you were
guys.
kinda
Well, listen, man, appreciate, you know, the exchanges that we've had throughout the season, and, you know, and hope everybody, I know I won't speak to you again before certainly before the holidays. I hope you guys have a great holiday and enjoy your families, and look forward to when we get a chance to chat again. Okay. Take care.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks. Hart, sorry for cutting you off earlier.
No worries.